The Match Ball.
Hello there, welcome to the show. Dan, Michael and Moscow with you on the Match Ball for the Arsenal away game. Arsenal 2, Leeds.
Your keeper's up.
1. Oh,
you're doing my hand gestures.
Michael's pumping his fist.
Motivational stuff, isn't it?
Me and him, you're pointing
Easy.
out.
You
We'll keep us
you
up.
too. You've got as much chance as the rest of them.
I'm going to go 2-footed through somebody for no reason. Will that help keep us up?
Yes, I think so.
The show is brought to you with Levi Solicitors, by the way. 10% discount on your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Right, pick that one apart then. We're in the bottom 3.
All went very wrong very quickly, didn't it? I mean, not that I think we would have won anyway, but giving him a goal head start and then getting someone sent off, really, really very basic stuff.
I think what we've learned is that Eddie Nketiah is an ungrateful wretch. Just think of the state his testicles would be in if it wasn't for Leeds hospitals, and that's the way he repays us.
Not a good opening 10 minutes, was it, really? All things considered.
And the remaining 80 were not fantastic either.
No. So Melier makes the mistake and we're 1-0 down inside 5 minutes, which essentially puts the entire game plan out of the window.
Keep it tight, just like against Man City.
And then we're 2-0 down inside 10, and then Luke Ayling gets sent off on 27 minutes. Job's fucked.
Yeah, it's the second goal and the red card that does it, because the game plan aspect don't really change when you concede one, because you're still trying to score one anyway, so it's just a matter of you want to get a draw instead of 1-0 lead to defend. So Melier's been absolutely brilliant for us for how many seasons has he been in goal? 2.5 the whole time, and he's still my player of the season despite the goals he's conceded. I think the fact he's conceded more goals than probably any goalkeeper in the Premier League just about, and made more saves than just about any goalkeeper in the Premier League, suggests how much worse this season would have been without Melier or somebody as good as him in goal. So whatever, if that happens to him, it's the worst time for it to happen. But every goalkeeper does those. He'll do it again. Didn't the Liverpool goalkeeper mess up doing that the other week?
It was a Man City goalkeeper against Liverpool.
Both brilliant.
No, it wasn't Edison though, was it? It was the other one.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen them do it. Everybody does that kind of thing.
He's got credit in the bank, Moscow. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that when we really, really don't need a Rick like that, that happens.
But we should have been able to just carry on from that point. Just go, right, that's happened. 2 minutes, just keep going. We came here to score a goal anyway. Let's go and score a goal. And
I know there's the
doesn't
whole
matter.
Goals change games thing, but from the bit we saw, it wasn't exactly going well, was it? Our complete failure to pass, the fact they got in behind us on the wings countless times in the opening 10 minutes, it looked knackered from the start.
Shambolic, wasn't it?
I mean, it was a 2-1 flatters us enormously in that game, because they had loads of good chances. We basically had none.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think that comes down to the goal. Even if Melier hadn't done that, we still would have been awful.
Yeah. Let's talk about the red card, really, because that's the big talking point in the game. What was he thinking? Oh, well, he wasn't thinking, was he? What was he doing? 500th game.
Son of a bitch on the pitch, wasn't he?
Captain for the day. Why'd you do that?
I don't know. Again, it comes back to people with credit in the bank. Ayling's got loads, but absolutely ridiculous, stupid, and it's another person out for the full season now.
Yeah, and we had on Friday the manager talking about how the players need to play, put emotions behind them, lots of clarity and calmness on the pitch, and that, it doesn't seem like Luke Ayling's heard that message or listened to it, if he did hear it. So worst thing you can do. Reminds me of Mark Viduka the season where he went down, when he played really well all the time, although he was back in Australia at some points because his dad was ill, so he was having a hard time, and then he came back and he got sent off. Didn't he get sent off for keeping the ball away, and then came back at Bolton and started that match by just getting sent off for absolutely nothing, and then it was uphill from there. But it's all going to be very different to that.
Rafinha trying his absolute best to get sent off at the same time as well, which was
what's
a real
doing?
highlight.
I mean, he's obviously not taking this well. I don't think any of us are taking it particularly well, but please stop doing that.
And also, it was a red card.
Yeah.
None of us, because he was initially given a yellow, wasn't it? And
as soon as we saw it.
Well, I saw the initial tackle, I said, he's gone here. And then you saw the replay and you went, oh yeah, definitely. Like both feet off the ground. I don't know what Rafinha was even moaning about. He can't have seen it properly. And no one else seemed bothered because everyone knew.
Even Luke Ayling on his own silly face looked like he's like, oh, what have I just done?
When he went to VAR, I think it was the point he went to
It was
VAR.
before that.
He pulled the shirt over his face, didn't he? I think when it went to VAR in a kind of, I know what's coming here.
Yeah.
Look about him.
Idiots. Absolute idiots. As Lee and Biggie T are pointing out in the comments, this is streamed live on YouTube for our TSB Plus members. Hello. If you're listening afterwards, you can find it all on there. It was a bit of a hospital pass for Meslier in the first place from Ayling, wasn't it, for that first one? He put him in a very difficult situation. Admittedly, Ayling was under pressure, trying to do the right thing. You know, if you could rewind it all and do it again, you'd just have Meslier put his foot through it. But, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing.
He tries to take a touch. It's a bit of a slip. It's a bit of a sloppy touch. Yeah. He could have not done that. Let's not give Meslier too much credit for that. It was not an easy pass to deal with necessarily, but there are many things he could have done that would have been better than that. And weirdly, the reason you don't get rid of it first time is because you're scared of kicking it out of play and wasting possession, which we do all the time anyway now. So why bother at this stage?
Can you remember a worse 45 in recent memory? That was pretty bad, wasn't it? I know they all tend to blend into one when things are bad, but wasn't very good, was it?
City away and Liverpool away were both very brutal this season. They were quite relentlessly kind of harsh, and I suppose the first half against Tottenham as well that ended with Bielsa getting sacked. It wasn't a pretty game. It had a similar kind of sinking feeling of just like, this isn't going to be a good day. What minute did we concede in against Tottenham? It was quite early, wasn't it? Where you just know from that point on that it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. What do you think of the first sub then? Strauch on for Gelhardt, poor Joffrey, half an hour into his long-awaited, not first appearance, but long-awaited reappearance.
I don't even know how many touches he'd had by the time he went off. It can't have been many because we didn't have the ball at all in attack. And it seemed a weird choice to me. I would say, given you're going to need some goals, aren't you, at some point if you're going to try and get something from the game.
Not if you're not attacking.
Yeah, try and really hold on and cement that minus 39 goal difference we've got, or whatever it is. Is it 40 now? Christ knows. It's fucked anyway. It's the goal difference. There's nothing to protect there.
It's not something we need to worry about at this stage. It's points rather than goal difference.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to turn that round.
No.
Seems unlikely, doesn't it?
I'll just have a look. I'll just get the numbers up now. We are minus 35.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah, Burnley minus 17, Everton minus 19.
Yeah.
Still very tight in there, though. It's still congested. And there is a road still to run in this one. It's like, I feel weirdly all right about that because it got away from us immediately. It was completely bleak, so I just didn't really engage with it. I didn't try and get too upset about it because we've seen those days before. As always, it's the hope that drags you back in, isn't it? And
so I've reached acceptance.
Well, we were talking on the Phil Hay show, weren't we, last week about reaching that point. No, I think I have, because it's easier just not to get so wound up and upset about it. What will be, and be there on Wednesday to cheer them on, be there next Sunday to cheer them on. Hope that there's enough between now and the end of the season to see us over the line. But it's been an absolute shambles of a season, hasn't it? All round.
It comes down that we need to better Burnley's results, don't we? It's really as simple as that. And we've got some pretty tough games coming up, given Brighton are back in form now and Brentford are back in form. But
that said,
Chelsea are Chelsea.
Brighton didn't have much opposition. Let's not get fooled into...
It is true. But they have started winning more games. They've gone beyond the 9, haven't they? So
we've got Spurs away. This is Burnley. We've got Spurs away next Sunday, so we play twice. We play again, before they play. Then they've got Villa away and Newcastle at home. So let's just do something. I mean, a win against Brighton would feel good. A win against Chelsea would feel sensational. Any win, any points at this stage would be good.
Yeah.
At least now we kind of, the permutations are becoming fewer, if you know what I mean. And it is a case of just do or die. We know that there's no margin for error now. Let's just get out there and do it, or hope that they do it. You don't sound convinced.
It feels more die than do today, I have to say. I don't see what we're trying to do. I know there was a little bit of fight towards the end, but that was just Arsenal shitting their pants a bit towards the end, because they should have been 3 or 4 up in that game. And,
well, they were on cruise control, weren't they?
The second half they looked like they were just coming out to play it out. If we score again, fine, whatever. But when obviously Leeds aren't going to score, and then we did, and that did panic them ever so slightly. But we had no ideas today. Going forward, there was not any bit of play where it looked like we were executing a plan. It was completely lacking in any kind of method going forward. It was occasionally pumping it forward, putting it out of place so many times, no width again. Rafinha doing pretty much nothing, even though he was our most used outlet and did nothing at all. Firpo, weirdly, the furthest player forward on loads of occasions.
When he played centre forward.
Which, bear in mind, we've seen him at his attempts at finishing, and he's fucking hopeless. So why you would try and establish a formation that puts him in the box at several points, or either that or Firpo's doing his own thing and just doing jazz football, going off and playing centre forward when he fancies.
This is a quote to stick on the boards and see what you think about this. It's time to be pragmatic, not pretty, says Jesse Marsh.
What's pragmatic about that? About losing games meekly?
I mean, I think what's going to happen in the wake of this game is that everyone will fall back in on the same arguments. Bielsa, Marsh, but that's not the problem this season, is it? I mean, what I would say is whatever Marsh is trying to achieve, and I'm still not quite sure what that is yet, but, you know, we've got to kind of just get to the end of the season and see what the end of the season brings, don't we, before we can pass judgment on that, and maybe then into next season as well, whatever. It just feels to me like neither of them, for one reason or another, has the tools at their disposal to achieve what they were trying to achieve. I think the board placed far too much stock in Bielsa being a wizard, and eventually that kind of got found out. People worked out how to play against us, and, you know, the injury crisis bit, so we didn't have the personnel in backup to get the points on the board. It's all just spiraled into this horrible mess at the end of the season. It felt like, you know, 12 months ago there was a plan, and it felt like we were on a straight road, and we knew sort of roughly where we were trying to get to. Now, I ain't got a clue. It feels like we're going round that big roundabout in France, you know, at the Arc de Triomphe that's got like 12 exits and 12 entrances, and we're kind of stuck in the middle, and we don't know how to get off.
It's somewhere between that and off the edge of a cliff. I'm not sure which exactly is the better analogy here, but yeah, I don't think we would have stayed up under Bielsa, and I don't think we're staying up under Marsh is the honest answer. And I don't think the stuff that they said about Marsh's style and was going to mesh in nicely with Bielsa's, the more you see it, the more you think
bullshit.
There's nothing of it.
No.
Apart from some running about, which basically is what every team does. Like, pressing is what pretty much all teams do now, unless you're Roy Hodgson. What is it? Like,
I was thinking about Roy Hodgson yesterday when he was laughing when Watford were confirmed just going down, chuckling away with his ex-Palace colleagues.
But like, I don't understand what bit of this matches what Bielsa was trying to do.
They've tried to change the wrong thing, because the defence is basically the same, and the whole pitch was, we'll bring in Marsh and he'll tighten things up at the back, and then we'll be fine. But we need to win games, and that was the thing. And I had a little look while we were getting this set up. So today we had 2 shots on target out of 3 attempts. Even against Spurs, the game that Bielsa got lost, we had 20 attempts on goal. And right, we conceded 4 because the defence is the defence. Leeds United's defence is the same as it's been all season. We go back, even Scum when we lost 4-2, we had 6 on target, 16 attempts. Arsenal at our place when we had a team of children and we got beat 4-1, we had 8 attempts, 1 on target. Even City, the game where we lost 7-0, we had 6 attempts, 3 on target. Liverpool, the 6-0 was 2-3, same as today. So we had this big problem that we were conceding loads of goals and not scoring enough goals. That's what gets you to the bottom. But we didn't have a problem creating chances and having attempts. And the Spurs game in particular was ridiculous. There was that Stroik header at the start that went a millimetre wide, and didn't Dallas have a really good attempt? So we had a lot going forward. We brought in Marsh and said, right, well, if we tighten up the defence, we'll stop conceding all the time.
We'll start scoring all these chances that we miss.
Well, that's it. And we only conceded 2 compared to Arsenal scored 4 past us, so maybe
they could have scored 4 though, couldn't they? That's the truth of it.
And one thing, because we were watching the game together, and you said, I think it was either the goal that they scored. In fact, it was the goal that they scored. You said, "Where's the marking?" And where is the marking? Nothing has got better. We've switched from man to man to zonal. Nothing's got better in that respect. And even there was a chance they had in the second half where somehow we've gone from having Calvin Phillips come back in, and we've not got better defensively with him and another player. Click is obviously, it's not his job. Bate played well in the second half, but having him in front of the back four is not helping block the back four in any way, because the way that Marsh has got him playing, he's not playing in a way that helps them. There was, I mean, maybe it's because we were chasing the game, but there was a point when both Phillips and Bate were ahead of the ball, and you had Llorente and Cox sprinting backwards, panicking because Arsenal are breaking at them. So we've gone from being too open and conceding too many, but creating loads of chances that if you sort out which striker we're playing, or even just get some fucking luck that we've not had at all, some of them might go in, to now still being really open but not creating anything. So we've really not got any better. And
well, I think as Everton prove, you've got to try and win your way out of trouble.
Exactly, and we've gone the other way. We've tried to go the other way of trying to defend our way. We've defended our way into trouble. Because and that's part of it, and part of it is like it's unfair on Leeds, not necessarily this weekend, but the games leading up to this point where we've been picking up points, getting some results, but still dropping down the table because other teams are playing games in hand and going above us, and it's kind of it doesn't feel fair in that respect. But a game like today is sort of getting exactly what we deserve out of it, when we just do not have a clue anymore how to attack. We used to be, attack is the best form of defence, isn't it? And we used to just attack all the time, and it would, cost us silly score lines all the time. But I'm not convinced that it. I feel like that was more fixable. We just needed to start putting those chances away, and
which goes back to not having a centre forward.
Yeah, but that was...
Which goes back to the summer. But again, that's partly on Bielsa, but partly on the construction of the squad.
All we needed to do to fix that was put somebody in the middle and start finishing the chances, and whether it needed Harrison to start scoring from wide, or Rafinha to start scoring more goals from wide. But they're no longer attacking. Rafinha in the first half, I'm pretty sure it's before Ayling had even been sent off, we were having Rafinha, Phillips and Click trying to play these triangles to get out from our own corner flag. That's not going to score any goals. If we've got Rafinha there, at least there was a chance. I feel like there was a chance in there of playing our way into form before we just ripped everything up and went, well, let's just lose games by 2 instead of losing games by 4.
It's hard because there's a logic to it, and in a change, the thing is that you can make a better change is the point of it. Like, I don't feel like I said, I'm pretty sure Bielsa would have taken us down, and I'm sure we'd have lost this game under Bielsa anyway. But make a change that isn't shit,
and don't do it.
And that's Victor Orsa's
job. Don't do it at the start of March when you can't change anything, because we brought in, instead of having, because we had a squad, whether you think it's been built properly or not, is something that it's the way that Bielsa wanted it and the way that he could use it, and he wasn't getting the results from it. But then you're bringing in somebody who just, it is not built to what Marsh wants. We were talking about square pegs in round holes all season, but we just do not look comfortable and never have looked comfortable doing what Marsh has tried to do. We've had some good results with it, mainly through comebacks, fight, effort, commitment, all those kind of good Leeds-y things, but there's never been we haven't played a good game.
No, we haven't.
No.
We've beaten Watford and Norwich. Everyone beats Watford and Norwich.
Yeah.
We beat Wolves when the game completely turned on a sending off. Great comeback all the same, not to take anything away from it. But let's face it, we weren't winning that game with 11 men on the pitch.
Yeah. But
so then what are you reducing it to? A slightly fortunate draw at Palace?
Well, that's it. And then we may not have won today with Bielsa or whoever, but we'd have made a better go of beating Palace.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's the one that's cost us.
The thing to say, and not going for it against Southampton as well.
Yeah,
forgot about that game. Yeah,
and those games are. And when we're talking about going for it, maybe that was half the problem with Bielsa, but we would go for it against those teams, and I think it's been a worrying trend. Marsh was saying it before the game again today. Well, it's not a must-win game, and Palace, well, it's not a must-win game, and Southampton wasn't a must-win game. We're all picking up these good points. All the teams are winning, and so I would go back to Palace and say Palace was. Well, it would have been nice to win.
Now we're in the bottom 3 we have some must-win games. There's no point talking about it anymore. Being like, well, Everton are behind us. Burnley need.
That's what I was saying about focusing the mind.
Burnley need to get the points. I mean, maybe you've seen it with when Burnley had to win games because they were absolutely cut adrift. They did, and they sort of started aiming to actually win some matches rather than under Dyche. What had got them in the bottom three was that they'd drawn like 12 matches or something.
When we played Palace at our place, admittedly we needed a Rafinha penalty. We had 15 shots, 2 on target. And they had 9 and 1.
Zach's getting quite shouty in the YouTube comments saying the Palace draw hasn't cost us. It was the half a season of terrible results under Bielsa.
No, that too.
I think the point is it's a cumulative thing, isn't it? And you need to look. I mean, for example, look at what Everton are doing, which is they've got themselves into a massive hole and they're trying to win their way out of it. And the point I think we're trying to make is that by not going for it or offering more going forward and maybe being defensive, you have to question now, as we are in the bottom 3, whether it's been the right approach. We don't know for certain until we get to the end of the season, and we can all genuinely sort of take stock and analyse what's going on this season and say what a massive fuck up it was. My
argument isn't that we should have kept Bielsa either. It's that we've picked Marsh thinking his tactics will mesh in nicely with what Bielsa has done,
which is a nonsense.
Which it just hasn't, and that's on. If Alter has been the one to think that, which you assume it is because he's the football man on the board, and he seems to have been the one with this relationship with Marsh.
And Kinnear sold it to us like that as well.
If he's thought that, then he's wrong because it very clearly is not the case, and the players look to me like they don't know where they're meant to be anymore, other than all down the middle.
Yeah, Bielsa may well have taken us down in the end, but trying to replace him outside a transfer window, I think even outside summer, he's such a singular coach. Everything is kind of uniquely tailored to what he does at the football club, from top to bottom, from training to analysis to the way that they play to the way that the squad is built. Everything is just the way he likes it. Trying to change that in March was always just a daft idea. I think, when the first podcast we did after we'd gone, I said this might work, but I just think it will always be a bad decision, even if we end up staying up, because we will be riding our luck in that case, and it's sort of turning out that way. At least my point with the hope under Bielsa, and I think, is that we had two paths to take. We either try, as we have done with Marsh, is to tear it all up and we try and do something completely new and completely different with a squad that may or may not suit to it. With Bielsa, we were trying to get back to being good at something we had been good at before, and that felt to me like a more realistic goal, that you could snap this team somehow back into how they played last season or the 3 seasons before, and say, look, you
or even a large percentage of it, Moscow.
Yep, just get closer to how we used to be. Yeah. Instead, we've gone darting off in this direction that is really just difficult to get to, and that's why I have sympathy for the job that Jesse Marsh is trying to do, and what the players are trying to achieve, because it's really, 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 really difficult. And the sticking with Bielsa may not have worked, but might have been a little bit easier to achieve something that might have
and you could even
helped.
You can still even make the change in the summer there, can't you, as well, which was the plan.
Yeah,
and maybe that is the point that Marsh was making as well when he said I wasn't sure about taking it at this stage, but let's say,
but he did. So
listen, the point is, and let's remain holding on to the positive, which is this is not done yet. I know it always feels bleak when you lose. We all got a little bit of renewed hope from the Burnley defeat yesterday, and this hurts, but we expected to lose this game. And actually, the terrible first half today made us feel awful, and it makes you feel very nihilistic, and you want to tear it all down, burn it all down. It's fine, we've lost. It's still there to be got. Burnley will drop points. We'll probably drop some points, but let's hope we get more than them. It's still
not anymore, please.
But what I'm saying.
I've had enough of dropping points.
And just a couple of comments that people are making here on the YouTube comment section. Peter, I think these two probably sum it up quite well. All this talk about tactics, let's face it, Bielsa made a silk purse out of a sow's ear. The players are just not good enough, and the table doesn't lie. I think that's a fair thing. Yeah, and I think they're aware within the club of the limitations within the squad. I also think it's on them that they've allowed the squad to be constructed in the way that it is, and whether that some of that is at Bielsa's door, absolutely. But I think I was speaking to Phil about this week, and he said to me, and he put it in a really good singular phrase, which was, they've had the tail wagging the dog with Bielsa, and as such, when you take Bielsa out of the equation, as you were just saying there, Moscow, and rip the plan up, it's like, oh shit, this is what we're left with.
They've got to remember as well what what they had at the start as well when Bielsa picked this thing up, which was basically a team of no hopers and a fairly directionless club. Bielsa got them out of a lot of shit here.
Yeah.
And it looks like we've gone back to another pick of manager that doesn't seem to be an obvious
It's starting to look like that the one big gamble that Radrizzani has made in a number that he's made was bringing Bielsa in so far.
I think
even for his own self-interest, the best thing he could have done was just leave it alone and let Bielsa take the rap. If he takes us down, then everybody just blames Bielsa. It's a funny thing this season, is it, when you say, because it is true, the league table doesn't lie, but what the fuck was it saying when we were 9th?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? So that's football.
And that's going to be the big thing, is understanding how same tactics, same players, same situation, same setup, same organisation, got to 9th, and then this season was nowhere near it.
But nothing stays still in football, does it? And I think people learn how you play against a set of tactics, and the players all become a year older, and opponents who have played against them the year before know how to beat them, stuff like that. But just the second comment I was just going to say was from Lee. I think we're all just emotionally drained from this god-awful season and want it done. I'd agree with that.
I think this week, as well, as just the little things like just before kick-off, watching a video of Jesse Marsh saying we want to have one of the best academies in Europe, and talking as if this is all perfectly within our hands, and we're just 10 points clear of relegation, everything's absolutely fine, and the club launching trying to flog the NFTs in this week. It's just got me back into a mindset of 4 years ago of thinking, just fuck off with all this stuff.
Yeah. But that's what
just
I'm saying.
Make it good on the pitch, and everything else goes away.
That's exactly what I was saying on the show through the week, wasn't it? When I was on about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the pyramid. We haven't got the bottom part of the pyramid solid enough yet. Make the football team good. I mean, and I know you don't have to ignore all that stuff in order to make your football team good, but just make it look like you know what you're doing with the football. And I'm not sure they do. I've huge question marks over Orta. I think he means well, but I lamented today, thinking about Junior Firpo, for example, who maybe I'm being fair or unfair, I don't know. But
he's dreadful.
But I was thinking about,
from what we've seen, there's no evidence that he's any good.
Just go out and buy bog standard Premier League left back. Is it Target? Was it Villa? Is he the one at Newcastle at the minute or whatever? Someone like that, just who's fine. But I do wonder if there's part of an ego thing with it, that because he hasn't discovered that player and everyone else knows about him, they won't just go out and get just standard Premier League players.
Well, I mean,
there's always been that.
Hardly unknown. He came from Barcelona.
No, I know, but
but
Orta always goes for fixer-uppers, doesn't he? He tends to. It's people who he's trying to make a statement with signings, I can fix. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I guess this is all for further down the road, because we're nearly at half an hour now on the match ball, and we've probably not even talked about the second half.
The second half was...
It feels like we're doing the post-season inquest now, and it's not done yet.
The second half was not as bad as I thought it might have been.
We won the second half, Michael.
But then they still had the better chances. So.
Bate looks good. Play Bate next week. Give Gelhardt full game. Nobody gets sent off so he can finish.
Harrison still has no final ball.
Oh, we're talking about good things, positive things, okay. Unless you think that's that's great news.
But wasn't it funny though when we got that goal back? I mean, and good work from Jackie, by the way, to force that corner, running out of options in that part of the field. He knew what he was doing to get that corner, and we suddenly realised we could play. It's suddenly we started.
The next 5 minutes were great, weren't they?
There was even that spelling, I think it was in the first half, where we kind of all collectively groaned when Calvin Phillips just passed the ball straight to their midfielders. Just what are we doing here? What's going on?
That is a hallmark of this side now, and also the pass out of play when we seem to be looking for someone out wide. And there's no one out wide. No. So the ball just sails out. I think Phillips did one of them as well, and Bate did one second half, just looking to spread the ball wide and find a bit of space.
But the positives,
yes. So.
Bate, Mellier's had his one mistake. Joffy can have a full game. Ayling hasn't been playing very well, and I think that that red card kind of is a culmination of him just dicking about. So how bad can Shackleton be at right back?
He's not played in months.
So
probably quite.
He played the under-23s the week he's been training. He hasn't been injured for 2 weeks, so he's only got to get through another 10 days if he starts against Chelsea, and then after that. So something fresh, and maybe he can do what Bate did. Click has been playing I don't think he suits the position that he's been asked to play, and he's looks like he's fighting against a big vat of treacle. But then Bate comes in, and he's just not asked because it's not his problem. He's been in the under-23s all year, so he can just come in, play. Hopefully Shackleton, similar kind of clear mind, fresh attitude, just do some running up and down, and that would be good. Some running up and down would be great because we can't get the ball out of our own half. So give it to Shackleton, run, and he can give it to James, and he can run, and so everybody will run and we'll score loads of goals. Chelsea, although they're
Have you been on Spice, Moscow?
Chelsea a bit cocky about the takeover being agreed, but it still needs regulatory approval, and I think that might be more difficult than they're talking about because there's still this question. Abramovich keeps saying, yeah, so all that money's going to go to my charitable foundation. I think the government are a bit like that. No,
you don't get to choose where it fucking
it's fucking
goes.
Not. So there's still, and all their players are all in the mood of like, well, you know, can we just sign for Barcelona now because we really need some fiscal common sense, and Barcelona is the place to go to for it. So they are conceding 2 goals to Wolves. We can get a result against them. Brighton, they've had their big result. They're not going to be a problem.
They're on the beach
anymore.
now, for want of a better phrase.
Brentford worry me just because that Thomas Frank's a dickhead. But we can we?
Nah, Pontus will sort us there.
Can we be safe before Brentford?
It's
Probably not because of how tight it is.
It's very unlikely. I mean, if we won both games and the teams didn't, then yes.
Cool, let's do that.
Let's do that.
And that'll be absolutely fine.
Final thought then on this game.
4 points would be enough if Burnley don't win theirs, actually, going into the final game. But, you know, I mean, I would take 4 points from these next 2 games, I would say.
Yeah, me too.
As long as you didn't watch us play in the first half,
almost to the second,
it doesn't feel unachievable.
Bamford's coming back, isn't it?
There we go. I got Bamford as well.
And even if we break him again,
I was saying before,
even if we break him again, Moscow, it doesn't matter now.
I was saying before, Joffy was going to be a good
Send him
comeback.
in there.
Don't need him. Sit down again, Joff.
Play Joffy and Bamford.
Well, I mean, depends how fit they are. We might just tie them together and put them on the team sheet as like one player.
Let's have a final thought on this then. That note that got passed onto the pitch. So Dan James took the note into his trousers, passed it to Phillips, passing notes in class, naughty, as any teachers will agree who are listening. And then the note ended up with the ref. What's all that about?
It's probably part of Jesse's mind games he plays with the ref, isn't it? He was saying that the other week.
Telling him, I'm watching you.
Probably something about his mum written on it. Just nagging him a bbit.
Or maybe just getting the takeaway order sorted for the bus ride home, getting the admin in.
Your shirt's too tight. Give that to him. Give that to him.
Anything to add then before we go?
Be over soon, won't it?
It will be over. In 2 weeks it will be over. So there's that.
Do you like my shirt?
I do like your shirt.
It's a nice shirt, yeah.
It's for the benefit of anybody who's listening rather than watching, it's the yellow version of the 1972 Cup final style shirt.
It's nice to see you're not dressed from Oxfam as you have been in recent weeks.
You think this is a new shirt?
Well,
you think it's a new shirt?
It was woven in 1972, was that, Michael? There you go.
So that's good.
Well, we can get into what a shit show it is some more during the week, can't we?
Yeah. Soon be dead, eh? Soon be dead. Right. Let's wrap it up there then. Thank you for being with us on the Match Ball. We've got propaganda to come, weekly show, probably going to be ahead of Chelsea, isn't it? They need to pack it in with these midweek fixtures, and we're going to have bloody loads of them next season, aren't we? We'll see you in a bit.
The Match Ball.